One. Welcome, everyone. Here we are. We are with, you may notice these are like the same faces. Like, this is so incredible. We even have another person who came onto the board, but she couldn't come today because she was tutoring. And like, that's the most beautiful reason why people can't come and be on this call. So, if you're wondering what in the world are you doing today, Joanne? Today, we are featuring over the next 10 weeks, well, not 10 now, we're on week 4 here of honoring the people who've made it onto the leaderboard inside of the Jumpstart Your Online Tutoring Business Masterclass. And these tutors keep popping up onto the weekly leaderboard. So we have people, they earned points and then they get onto a leaderboard. There's first place, there's second place, there's third place. And whether you're in first, second, or third, they get invited onto this call to kind of share like what are some of the things that they've learned, where are they at inside of their business, and all of that wonderful stuff. And I think what you're going to find is that those people like you guys that are just like taking action, you guys are going to have amazing results inside of your business. And this time, Brent's not driving inside of his car. Woo woo, so you're safe. Awesome. You guys, real quick, tell people who you are, where you're from, and what you tutor. I'll start with Brent.
I am Brent Hauk. I live in London, Ontario, Canada, and I tutor reading for K to 6. That is my ideal client.
I love it. And it's so good to kind of get that out and even be able to say that so that, you're speaking it out loud to the universe. Beth, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you tutor. Beth, sorry, yes.
Oh,
Just
me.
Beth, not Elizabeth. Yes.
Just Beth. That's me.
Just
right?
Beth. Yes.
Okay. So I am down in Texas, and my sweet spot, my best client is 6 through algebra math, and I also have tutors underneath me. So I have about 6 right now. Working on
Fantastic.
more.
Excellent. Awesome. And we have Elizabeth Dufresne.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. My focused area is reading comprehension, K through 6, all the way up through 8th grade, with a subspecialty in fluency.
I love it.
Wishing everybody a great morning.
Yay! So glad that you guys are here and sharing it. And, we've kind of been going through this process where we've been adding one really big idea each week kind of into the mix. We started with the business plan. We moved on into, different strategies that you can be putting on into place, those 5 actions that you can be taking to get clients. And we talked about like who do you reach on out to? How can you reach on out to them? And we talked about last week, it doesn't matter how many leads I get in, if I can't close them, if I can't have a sales conversation with them, it doesn't matter how many leads I'm bringing on in because I'm going to be so disappointed if I don't have a large majority of them saying yes. So we kind of talked about last week and practiced last week that whole piece of how do you get people to say yes? What were some aha moments or thoughts that you had that went through your mind as you were going through that process?
Yeah, I can go first.
Sure.
I think the big aha moment for me was just like, I don't have a lot of clients or potential clients that ask about pricing, but I think it was just me getting over the hump of not being scared about talking about it. That was the big moment for me where I realized there was always like a bit of awkwardness around that conversation because I was always a little uncomfortable. I've now headed into last week and this week with a better mindset in that I can charge whatever I want to charge, and people are willing to pay for it because I can get those results. And just being confident in that knowledge is what's really been the big moment for me the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and in that conversation, um, we need to be approachable but confident, right? We need to
Mhm.
be listening to what their needs are versus trying to sell ourselves,
Exactly.
right? There's not anything that you need to sell. You need to listen. They need to hear that you are empathetic, and through that you can have a really decent conversation that leads to the point where sometimes you don't even have to tell people what you charge. They don't really care
Mhm.
what you charge. They just want to move forward with you. And that is the beautiful sweet spot where we want to be able to get each of our clients. Anything else that you guys noticed as you're kind of going through that practicing stage with your group, with your accountability partner?
Well, I've actually, this would be a real life notice. This is back to school time, and so parents don't always know the sports schedule, the club schedule, and they're hesitant to book. They're great, they want to talk to you, they kind of want to get the idea of who you are, but they're not really ready to schedule. And so this time I was talking to, and I really wanted her because I wanted to be on the leaderboard higher. I was like, yes, I need to get another student. This will be awesome. And in my wheelhouse, I could take them, everything. And and the mom wasn't ready. And I was like, all right, next week, she said, early next week, I should be able to figure out my schedule. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to schedule a meeting for us next week. Done. Like, not letting you off the hook. Shared. What's your email again? Put it in Google Calendar for her as a meeting she has to accept. And bam, we can have that conversation and, still keep that excitement and get her signed up. So I was like, that is the way. Like, procedure, right? Once you get that
Yes.
procedure down, now every time a parent says, well, I could say, even if all the selling points are not selling at that moment and they need that time, whatever the time reason is, I can say, all right, let's book
Yeah.
a meeting. And
Yes.
gold. That was absolute gold. So I know it's a little beyond the practice, but
No, no, no. This is exactly what we need to do, because just because they say, I'm not sure what the schedule is. Great. When do you think you'd be able to know what the schedule is? Like, finish the conversation, right? Like, a lot of people are like, okay, well, you get back to me when you know. No, 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 no. You're not in control of the conversation anymore if you say to them, get back to me, right? Get back to me when is kind of like leaving it in their hands, and uh, you have no idea where that's going to go. I mean,
that's right.
if you don't schedule a time for you to connect back with them to find out where they're at on this process, um, you could lose them,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not hard to turn them into a yes. They have to check the schedule. Well, I remember as a mom, if I have a kid, to check my schedule on Monday and get back to you. It's like 2 steps right there. I may not remember. Right, and so we wanna, like, take
Right.
away that forgetfulness that I as a parent can have, because there's
Mhm.
so many things being thrown at me, and nail it down and just be like, "Okay, I'll reach back to you on Monday when you know, what time works best for you to be able to reach out to you."
And
And
that's what I
then
did.
we
I
go
was
from
like,
there.
what works for you? And she was very happy and she accepted my invitation, which means I know that this is a worthy lead that I can follow. And yeah, so now we'll be having that conversation Tuesday afternoon. So,
I love it, I love it. What are some things that you noticed, Elizabeth, as you were going through the process this week?
Well, Brent and I are accountability partners. And I think one thing that we definitely talked about was, if the end goal of the student one day is to go to, Harvard or a very high end college, how are they going to get there if they're struggling with biology or whatever subject? Thinking long term backwards by design, you're thinking kind of, as teachers or in our specialty fields, we thought, that's the end goal. If they're struggling with whatever subject they're struggling with, we need to help them right now with the immediate need. And the immediate need is, reading or biology or whatever it is. Let's help them with the immediate needs so that we can get them to the long-term goal to be successful long-term in that college and have them truly be successful, in school and all of the other subjects. So we're just not preparing them right now in the subject, but we're preparing them to be successful and launch for life.
Yeah, like, knowing, like, what their goals are so important and so pivotal, and what are their dreams? What are their fears? Like, when you can know those things, it's going to allow you to market to them in a way that doesn't feel salesy. Like, I'm just trying to sell me as the person that can do the tutoring, right? It feels more like you care about what their specific goals are, and you're listening to what those goals are, and you're helping to take them from where they are today to that end goal of tomorrow, whatever that ends up being. And what's the process that you're going to take them through so that they can reach that, right? And whether it's they want to be able to get into, a lot of them haven't decided what college they want to go to, and we're working with the younger kids, but as soon as you get to the older kids, freshmen on up, they have a pretty good idea usually. Sometimes I had 2 kids who knew what they were gonna do and one who's still kinda on the fence about what she wants to do, right? So, you know, then they start knowing, "Okay, I am gonna go to college," or, "I'm not gonna go to college." They start to get that kind of idea inside of their head. So, it's important to know, like, is that something that's important? And I think as you work with different parents, they actually have different goals. So, like, homeschool parents have that goal all the time of their kid going to college. Sometimes their goal is that whatever their child is most interested in and they wanna work on, that's what we're gonna work on. And they might not have a regular curriculum or things like that or different things. So knowing those different parents and how they are working with their child, the school system they attend, like listening to all of those questions that you have is really gonna help you then design a perfect program for them to reach their goals because they don't all have the same goals. And Beth is kind of like amazed by that, like, wait, what? Like they don't have these goals to they're allowing, yeah, there's this one thing called unschooling where whatever the child wants to learn, they learn next. And and yeah, that's something that is,
That's
um,
crazy.
it's agreed upon, it is a philosophy, and it can be a beautiful philosophy. Billie Eilish actually was an unschooled child, and look at the success that she's having inside of her life because her parents, they didn't make her study traditional subjects. They allowed her to dive deep into whatever she wanted to dive deep into, and for her, it was music. Her and her brother dove into music head on, and they would just have these late night jam sessions, just playing their music, singing songs, writing songs, and doing all of that, and today it's worked out very, very well for her. There are some kids where the parents don't have, um, that kind of, organized system in
Mhm.
place for their child, and they don't succeed, right? They don't have the success, but we always have to be wondering, what is it that this parent wants for their child? Because if I just automatically say, "Do you want higher grades?" And let's say I'm marketing to homeschool kids, they don't give grades. You're not marketing to them, right? So
Mhm.
knowing the ins and outs of who it is that you are speaking to is really going to be helpful as you go through the process, and we have to do that in a non-judgmental way, right? Like, we can't sit if you judge a parent for choices and things that they have made or whatever, you've already lost the client, right? If all of a sudden you go into teacher mode, because teachers, uh, those of us who have been teachers, anybody here who is a teacher? Anybody here a teacher? Elizabeth, okay. Beth and Elizabeth, we can tend to go into teacher mode and be like, well, this is what you need to do. And, this hasn't been done. This needs to be done, and we can kind of go into teacher mode on them. And instead, what we need to do is go into empathy mode. I had
Mm.
one, I was talking with a past tutor that I was working with, and she wanted to start writing content about cell phone usage in the classroom and how parents shouldn't allow their kids to have cell phones in the classroom. And I said, you are going to rub your parents the wrong way. I know this is a hot topic for you, but you have to think about your tutoring business right now. Is this going to be the best way to get parents in the door? When we're creating content about cell phone usage in the classroom and whether that's good or not good, and in her opinion, obviously, it was not good because the kids couldn't pay attention in class and it caused all these problems. Parents aren't looking up, "How can I stop having my kid use their cell phone in school?" They're not looking that kind of information up. That's not gonna be information that's gonna lead them to you, but even if a parent were to read that and go to your website, you would rub them the wrong way. So we really have to think about what is important to them. What do they want to know? How can I be
Mhm.
there of service to them so that we are providing the best non-judgmental, understanding, listening heart that we can possibly listen with.
So I have
And
an
there's
example
definitely a
of that
switch.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Share that with
Sorry,
us.
I was hoping you were done. So I actually last week I was having a conversation with one of my parents after the session, and because it was in person at the library, so they hung out, and they were saying, "Oh, the bus comes late every morning. It gets the child to school late. Middle schooler, math is her first period." And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no. You're gonna have," because the school I used to work at, and the bus was late every day. And they're having busing problems all over the United States, right? So they were like, "What do we do?" And so I like troubleshooted, 3 or 4 things that they could do right off the bat with the dad. And then I was like, I need to write an article. This is valid. This is what parents want to hear right now. This is what everybody's having problems with. It's not just Texas. It's not just Central Texas. It's everywhere. And so I put one out on LinkedIn, in fact, because Joanne was like, "You got to work on your LinkedIn." And yeah, okay. So a busing article. So if you guys go to my LinkedIn, you can find it. And it's helpful things for parents, right? It doesn't rub them the wrong way. It gives them the things that would help them that maybe they didn't think about. You're so overwhelmed with getting your child back to school, and you're upset, and it can cloud your judgment. You can't figure out a solution if you're upset. And so these are solutions provided.
I love that. That's perfect. And that is a problem that, they're speaking to you, they're telling you. So she had to, in order to know that was a problem, she had to hear them. Right.
That's right.
And it's so different. I have this one friend that anytime I talk to her, I'm like, she can't hear me. Like she's already thinking about that next thing inside of her head that she needs to tell me. But like when I really talk to her, she can't hear me. I really feel that way. Like you didn't hear anything that I said. You're already thinking of the next thing. And so as tutors, we have to step out if that's like something that's normal for us to do is not really listen to the person in front of us. You have to be extremely present with these conversations, right? Because that led to gold for you. That lets you like, hey, other people might struggle with this. And now you have a place to send them. Like, oh, you're having a problem with the busing, getting your kid to school. I wrote an article because other people are struggling with that too. Because you cannot miss the most important class that you're struggling with the most. It just can't
That's
happen.
right. You
Right?
can't, and that was a part of the business that I wrote. I was like, ask for a schedule change. If this is going to be the norm, they're not going to, I wrote something about how this is not going to help their success, right? You don't want to be negative and say, this is going to take them down a notch. This is going to be terrible. You got to keep it real positive. Like, what can we do and how can we make it better? Right.
Exactly. What are the solutions here? Because the
And I had
solution is not just a continued, if the bus is going to continue to be late, we cannot have math as the first, it can't be the first period for that child because that is the area they're struggling with the most. Make it be gym, make it be like something else where like it's not going to like improve, impede their educational career. And at this point in time in middle school, that is super, super important. Are they in middle school or high school?
they are middle and they're moving into 7th, and this child needs to be an accelerated. They need to be, this child is ready. And I actually know her teacher from last year. So I'm encouraging parents, hey, if you need me to reach out, I will. I vetted this child over the summer. I taught 6th grade Excel. I taught 7th grade Excel. This girl can do it. Right. So that was the way accelerated works is that in 7th and 8th grade math, they get both. 7th and in 7th grade, they get both 7th and 8th if they're called accelerated pace or advanced or whatever. And then they can take algebra in 8th grade. If you take algebra in 8th grade, that means you can take calculus in high school. If you don't do that, then you're not lined up. And some of these parents are like, yes, you will take it. We want you in a STEM field. And you got to have calculus already going in to college if you want to be in a STEM. So, and I work in an area where there's a lot of parents who are doctors, lawyers, engineers, and they're very concerned about their children's education. So
Yeah.
So it's
And
super
again,
important.
what I love about that is that there's no judgment there for you on what the parents' goals are. Like some people be like, "Oh my God, like tutoring is only for kids that are struggling. Your kid's not struggling. Why would you want them to do this?" Right? Tutoring is for people that want that additional help to succeed
Mhm,
in the way they want to
mhm.
succeed. Some parents want their kids to go from a B to an A. Like those grades are super important to them. Some people want their kids to really just understand and love the material. And some people want additional help just because they want them to get even further than where they're at. And like you said, like regardless if they're struggling or not, that first period, that is going to impede that goal from being able to happen. So that has to be
That's
changed
right.
if the busing is
Those
going to
are
continue to be an issue.
lost learning moments for that child, and it would be every day. So
Yeah.
it's not a good thing. But every time a parent tells me something, I try to figure out how to solve it, and or not. If I can't, I'll get back to you and then turn it into something that more people can use. So
Yes.
I sent it. I have a mailing list of prior inactive parents and active parents, and I sent it to all of them. I was like, this is gold. Busing at the beginning of the year is a nightmare. So, I just was
Love
like, I'm
that.
sending it in, keeping in mind that mailing list that you were talking about. I don't know how many weeks ago we talked about mailing lists.
Yes. Oh, and we're going to even dive further into mailing list, email list, of even people who are not clients with you. Because here's what happens a lot of times. People come to your website, right? They found it somehow. They clicked on something, they got there, right? And then they click off. Will they remember to get back on if you didn't collect their email? If you didn't collect their email, boom, they're gone. How do you collect their email? You create a freebie, something that they want to download that's going to be useful and helpful for them. You don't ask them, would you like to be on my email list? Because every single one of them will say no, and you're not going to collect anything. Would you like to be on my monthly newsletter? No, again, I do not want to get additional mail all of the time. But if you say, would you like to learn the top 5 things that are impeding your child from advancing in math? Boom. Yes, of course I want to know that, right? So now I can create something that is geared towards them, that is going to lead to people that get onto my email list. And now I am staying in contact with people who have, for some reason, visited my website, right? And
Mhm,
people take more time to say yes than others. Right. And so we want them to get to the point where when they get onto that free consultation with us, they've already said yes inside of their mind. It's just that consultation that's gonna solidify that
mhm.
yes, and then it makes it so much easier and so much more fun. I love it. What kind of advice would you guys give to people that they are, um, they're not on the leaderboard or they haven't joined this class? What's some advice that you guys could give them so that they could be achieving more success within their business?
I would say my advice to people who are not on the leaderboard, just keep grinding. It's going to come. If you keep putting those actions forward every single day, like we've been doing, you're going to get that result. It's inevitable as far as I'm concerned. It's already happened if you're putting in that effort. As far as people that are maybe on the fence about joining this program, tutoring changed my life, and this program has gone even further in changing my life. So honestly, it's a no-brainer for me, both of those things. It's very important.
Yeah, and I love
So
being able to see you here. Yeah, Beth.
so I'm thinking, if you want to succeed, you have to do the things that other people would not do
Mhm.
to put you above or in a different place. And you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do the things that it takes to reach your goals and succeed? If you're not
Mhm.
willing to do that, then you're going to spend the money and you're not going to get anything from it, right?
Right.
But if you step up and spend the money and put yourself in the water, then it's not going to be one golden tidbit. It is not going to be 10 golden tips. It's going to take you to another level. if you put the time in and you're willing to do the work, it takes you to a whole nother place. Like, I am just amazed at the growth in just 4 weeks, right? Like, if you put the effort and the time in and you really try, like every time you say something, I'm like, ooh, tip, let me write that down. And oh, homeschool ad. Now I know how to talk to the homeschoolers. Like, literally, I come, I show up, and I learn.
Yep. And it's almost like you have to be like an empty vessel versus a full vessel, right? Like if you come, you're already full, yes, you're not going to get anything out of it because you're not open-minded enough to be able to learn the things that you need to learn. So you almost have to be an empty vessel or even a half full vessel where it's like, okay, I can add to the information that I know, but you're willing to still learn because nobody can be taught when you're at that point where you're completely full. Like, I know everything, that's going to be something. The other thing that's going to get us down is that excuse-itis. Every single excuse that comes in the book, I can't succeed is because there's all these external factors, Joanne, you don't get it, right? I do get it. I'm still in the mix, guys. I still tutor. I love it. It's my life. It's my dream. It's
Everybody
my
has
passion.
problems. Everybody has problems. I mean, Kaylee, disabled vet.
Mhm.
Beth, I don't know what her issue is, but I know parking is a big problem for her because she can't get her. I mean, maybe she's wheelchair bound, but look at her go, right? The chronic illness over here. And you know what? Still doing it.
Mhm.
And to add on to Brent's, I think it's a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
If you look at teaching right now, it's not healthy. Been there, done that. And this lifestyle, and you don't have to be a giant business. You can be that tutor just yourself and find your passive income and make it work. You don't have to manage a group of tutors, or there's so many ways to go, and you can explore it through this class.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I love. That's what I love for sure. For sure. How about you, Elizabeth?
I think this class is wonderful. I mean, Joanne literally teaches you from the ground up how to make a business plan, how to get up and running and find students, get students in person and online. For those that are not where you want to be with this class, keep aspiring. You can follow your dreams and you can get there. I mean, if you have an off week, just keep going.
Yep.
I mean, we all have off weeks, so keep going.
Keep going.
You can get there. Yeah, just keep going. So
I love it. You guys are awesome. When I got the names from Beth that it was going to be you three guys, I was just like, yay, again, I love this. Like this, and like, who are going to be the people at the end of the program that are going to have the best results because they keep showing up, they keep getting onto that leaderboard and they keep doing it. So congratulations, you guys, on again being on that leaderboard and really putting all of this in place for your business. I'm really proud of every single one of you guys for taking the action, taking the leap, and just doing it. Keep doing it, you guys. You rock. And those of you guys that are watching us, you do it as well. It's absolutely possible. If you keep taking action, it's inevitable you're going to get results. So, you guys, that's all for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
thanks. Bye.